Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be watching this. Welcome along to another episode of the Non-League Nosh. Feels good to be back.
Of course.
It's been an amazing week for the podcast, to be honest with you. We've now got the podcast going up on Podbean, which has been great. That's the first step of many to get us onto the podcasting world. We've done YouTube. We're now in the full flow of that, but we are listening to your responses. You want it on iTunes, you want it on Spotify, all that kind of stuff. He's working on it.
Next project. See what we can do tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do that after the podcast because we want to give you guys as many ways of doing it. And as I said, YouTube is not always, sometimes a viable option, but we are working really, really hard on it. So thank you very much for all of your responses and the reactions to the questions that we put out. Jesus Christ, you lot have gone absolutely berserk.
It's been great.
We have spent the best part of an hour.
Yes.
Probably about an hour getting ready for tonight's podcast. And normally we can go in with about 5-10 minutes worth of prep. You lot have just gone absolutely insane. But before we get into any of that stuff, we have to talk about the breaking news that has come from the non-league world in our part of East Anglia.
Yeah.
Leiston have got rid of their manager. Stuart Boardley has resigned.
Yeah.
Crazy. But is it crazy? Is it that crazy? I mean, if I look at the current league table, they are sat bottom of the table, 1 draw, 6 defeats from the 7 matches. They've only scored 5 and conceded 24 goals already this season.
I think they had a very difficult result at the weekend as well.
They lost 5-1 to Stourbridge.
The resignation was initially handed in, I've read in the press release, after the game against Redbridge. And Stuart was actually asked to rethink his decision. And he's kept with it.
Yeah. So it just shows that the club were prepared to give him time. This is purely a decision that's been made by him and him alone. It's not like a mutual decision that you see from a lot of
and it's
press
it's not a sacking despite results, despite they haven't picked up a win. I'm not sure who the draw was against LNC. I probably should have followed that a little bit more closely before we started.
Yeah.
But the problem there is that Leiston have had quite a big shake-up. Obviously, Glenn Driver left last year.
Yeah.
And the team sort of stayed together, but pretty much by the time the Premier Cup final came around, it was known that a few players were finishing their career with Leiston.
I think a few people had made it quite clear on social medias that this was going to be their kind of farewell. We talked about briefly last time, but did you kind of see this happening, or did you think that he would be pushed before he walked? Because it's very rare to see a manager resigning nowadays, isn't it? Most people will stick it out right till the very end.
Until it's no longer sustainable.
Yeah.
It may be a case, though, that Stuart thinks that he's doing the right thing for the club to try and get it freshened up, to ensure it can stay within, it can stay feasible at step 3. And maybe that has to be applauded in some sense, rather than waiting until it's too late and you see a club fall to its knees. Because if this form carried on till Christmas, it's not rescuable. Is that the word?
Very true. Yeah.
It's not retrievable.
Yeah. So let's go through the statement that has actually been coming out. We're not going to go through what the normal parts are, because it's just saying we want to thank Stuart for his services. We all know those kind of generic responses that you get from these kind of things. However, Stuart has said, "It's with great sadness and regret that I've decided to leave my position as manager of Leiston Football Club. I informed the chairman of my decision following the defeat on in the FA Cup last weekend, but was asked to reconsider." So he stayed on for another week.
Yeah.
So this was last week that he said that he wanted to hand in.
Right.
He wanted to quit. He actually stayed on for another game to see whether or not he could do that. I agreed to remain in charge for a short period whilst the club considered their options further and put plans in place, but confirmed my decision would not change. So there you go on that part.
Job done.
Wants to thank certain people in charge. Football has consumed me these last 12 months and has been particularly difficult since I lost David, my assistant manager, back in May. Recruitment during the summer did not bear the fruits that we'd hoped for. We briefly talked about that.
Yeah, we've spoken about previously.
And ultimately, the club have suffered from only retaining 2 of the starting 11 that won last season's Suffolk Premier Cup final. That speaks volumes. I want you all to know that I'm not jumping ship, but instead stepping aside for the good of the club, as I feel a change is right for the club and it may create a spark that can turn around current fortunes. As a result of that, Ian Cornforth, who I've interviewed on the channel previously, really nice guy, has now taken over. He was the reserve team manager. He said, after the departure of manager, I accepted the vacant position after a long conversation with the chairman. I would like to say on record that it was with sadness that Stuart made the decision to stand down. I'm very honoured to have been offered this unbelievable opportunity at such a great club. So coming up from the reserves into the first team, thoughts on that very briefly?
Well,
it's a big challenge. It's a massive jump up to go from Furlough North to where Leiston are now.
It's a dream opportunity.
100%.
The club have said he's regularly involved in the club, in the setup anyway. He knows what he's walking into. Mm-hmm. Would I prefer someone with completely fresh eyes looking at it? Yes, I think.
Okay.
A fresh perspective, because sometimes when you're going through your most difficult spell as a club, moving someone in that already knows all of it, whilst doesn't unsettle the ship as much, there may not be as much ability to put a completely fresh perspective on it because you're still wearing the shoes of the old regime.
However, somebody who does know the club inside out can go the opposite way, where they know what the particular issues are. If there are issues, they know how to address things. They can have a better relationship sometimes. I mean, we've seen it at a higher level recently where the Sheffield Wednesday caretaker manager came in, done an absolutely amazing job because the players trusted him, they knew him, they wanted to work for him, they worked hard, they kind of pushed another gear up. Sometimes it does have the kind of opposite effect. And
there are arguments both sides. The one that I would want to make that backs yours up, but I don't mean it in any bad way at all.
No, of course.
Is that Leiston lost all of those players, which they've highlighted. They didn't recruit in the way that they wanted to, maybe. The part of me thinks that they want to just try and start keeping a squad together without disruption and without the fear that a new manager comes in and
you go through the whole process again. And
in the week, they got some good players on loan. Kevin Castro, who's been on trial at Ipswich recently, at Thetford last year, he's actually come in. Wow. And he scored at the weekend. He's such a good player. But I can't remember off the top of my head who the other players were or where they've actually come from. But I think they brought 3 players in. Now, knowing what that statement says, I wonder if bringing those players in was to try and keep Stuart there and say, look, this is what we're prepared to do.
Could be. Could well be.
Give them a game, see how you get on.
Yeah.
Lost 5-1.
Yeah, and that was
That's
enough.
it.
Yeah. It's sad times. We've talked about Leiston a lot on this podcast, saying can they turn it around? And unfortunately, we have our first managerial casualty of the season, and we're not. Well, we're only halfway through September.
I think I was brazen enough before to say that they were going to have a very difficult year, and I didn't know if they'd survive it. At the moment, with how performance has gone, I'm still backing myself, but I want to keep as many Suffolk teams or as many East Anglian teams playing at the highest level possible. Yeah. No matter what I say elsewhere, that's I don't want anyone to get relegated. I just feel they're going to struggle. Yeah. I don't think that's an opinion that's out of place.
No, definitely not. So moving on to responses from the last few videos.
Yeah.
Comments have gone mental, which is great. We love that. Yeah. That's exactly what the whole reason for the podcast was to engage as many people as we possibly could, and you guys have well and truly delivered on that. We're going to go through some of the responses that have been done on the Twitter videos, but we did put out a poll based on one of the videos, and it's safe to say it got a fair amount of reaction from it. We had 299 votes on the poll, and we also had 10 responses through Twitter. Had a couple of DMs as well about it, which was interesting. But we asked the question to you guys. After discussion about players getting paid wages below Step 6, we want your opinions ahead of next week's podcast. Yes or no? Do you agree with players at Step 7 and below receiving a wage? And 61% of you said no. We were in the camp of don't care. We weren't yes or no.
We didn't mind at all, did we? So I feel like our opinion has completely been trumped by that of our listeners in terms of there obviously is a good 61% isn't a marginal victory.
You say that, but the majority of the comments where people were actually saying and responding to it were more or less saying the same thing as what we were.
Yeah.
It was people who actually voted who said no.
I think I've got a lesson to learn from that. Give a third option.
Give a third option.
Sometimes I try to
option.
I try to be very binary, yes or no with it, and I probably should have done that. It doesn't worry me.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think the people that voted the way they felt. It was only up for 2 days, and we got 300 responses on it. So
which is incredible. Yeah, really is
amazing.
Incredible. So some of the responses that we had on this. So we had. I'm not going to put them up on the screen here, but I'm just going to read them out. If you want to, you can click the link for our Twitter page and view some of the responses for yourself. So we had Mark saying, "Don't see it as a problem if clubs can afford it. That's all good." We had Swanee Bar saying, "If it helps a player cover his petrol money or having a few beers in the club after the game, then who is it killing?" Ipswich Athletic, most league rules below Step 7 preclude it, and it leads to an advantage to those who have a budget for such things.
I want to have a look at that one, maybe.
Yeah.
We are doing a little bonus series that you'll see where we're going to be looking at some league rules and stuff. So as we get on, I'm quite interested to see how that's written.
Yeah, when we get into the SIL one, we'll see how that is kind of worded. Squeeze East said, "No right or wrong, if people got the money and that's what they want to spend it on, then that's fair enough. Loads of clubs have spent on other stuff to get to Step 6, which nobody bats an eyelid about either." I think that's a fair response.
Very fair.
Craig has said, "Surely it comes down to sustainability. If a club at Step 7 is bringing in 200 on the gate, has covered its overheads, then why not put some into the planned budget? At some point, the club will be playing below its means due to its fan base and maybe naturally a Step 5 or 4 club." That's an interesting perspective. It's been happening for over 30 years, says Dell. Managers or chairmen with cash want to drive their club forward. It's the only way to do it is to get better players. That's fair enough. Matthew has said some players are getting paid to play Sunday League football.
I can't believe that.
Surely that's not true.
Well,
really? That seems mad.
I trust our audience, though. They've got the broadest range of research.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't play Sunday League football, so I haven't got a blooming clue. So,
but there are lots of, shall we say, quite fancy Sunday League clubs now going about. And YouTube is providing a really good platform for Sunday League clubs.
That's a fair point.
Absolutely loads of them out there that you'll find on there.
Yeah.
But like SE Dons, a big one.
Yeah. We've had Witto say shouldn't be paid at Step 5 at a minimum when travelling heats up. We've had Ian say the only way any non-league player is getting paid in 99% of clubs is some director putting his hand in his pocket or sponsor it. It supports the unsustainable at that level even more. So we've had quite a few no responses in there, but the majority of responses that we have are from people who are saying, what's the harm in doing it? Yeah. Very, very interesting. If you've got any thoughts on it, let us know.
Ian, who wrote at the bottom's comment, was quite humorous, to be honest. That had me giggling when I saw it.
The fact is, though, you'll never stop it. There's always a brown envelope going around, so it is what it is. Couldn't possibly comment. No. I don't know what you're referring to, Ian.
It sounds like Ian sat in a dressing room before.
Yeah, it could possibly be. So we had quite a few responses from that. We had quite a few responses about the FA Cup as well. This one really divided our opinion. We've had Nick Muller, who he's gradually getting into non-league football. The more and more we're doing these kind of videos, the more I'm seeing Nick respond, which is absolutely fantastic, and I really, really do appreciate your support.
I see Nick comment across a lot of channels that I follow as well.
Do you?
So, yeah, I do. I pick his comments up on other things that I follow. So I watch an awful lot of YouTube.
There you go. I think you've got You've got a stalker in, Nick. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Sorry, Nick.
So Nick has said, never a waste of time. It's the only cup in football that anyone in this country has a chance of winning, whether it's the Prem or if you play right down in the non-league. If you're in it, you have a chance. It might be slim, but you still have a chance.
No,
Wigan won it.
I can't.
Wigan won it.
Wigan won it,
If
yeah.
Wigan
but we
can
were
win it-
talking non-league.
So that was an interesting perspective. I think maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Winning it, but being in the competition still means something. Larger Than Life responded, which was directed at me, and I completely understand his point. The comments about the League Cup are a little harsh. I went in a little bit on the Challenge Cup and the League Cup. Admittedly, I am biased as my team Long Melford won it last year. But for clubs like Long Melford, who are never going to win the Furlough None or the FA Vase, it's the only trophy we realistically have a chance of winning. So it means a lot to us. And I think that was your argument as well, wasn't it? That a competition that you can win means more than an FA Cup where you might get past a couple of rounds, but at the end of it, you're just going to get knocked out by some team in step 2 or step 3 or whatever the case before it gets to the proper football.
I think that's a really good example though. Like Melford, they didn't have a great league campaign last year. Ely did the same actually. They won a cup.
Yeah.
Yet struggled in the league, and I think that's really good. It still have it, especially for the fan base and stuff. But on the other side of that, Russell Cox replied on Twitter to us when we put out the bite-sized video, and he felt that the FA Cup was actually vital. He felt that the good cup run can do wonders for club profile and finances. Feels it's exciting and the best competition bar none. We did not cover club profile and finances in too much detail. That might be something to pick up on after a couple more rounds, because we will see how the media start elevating the non-league clubs. Yeah. So I'd like to come back to that. I think it's a really good point.
Well, I have seen, I don't know if you follow Ollie Bayliss, who is quite big in non-league football. Yeah. What he does is he puts out the draws for the cup competitions and then has how much you get if you win it and how much you'll receive if you lose that particular round. And that, for me, is always an interesting look.
Yeah.
And I saw that one that was drawn today, if you lose, I think you get 300 quid, which at the moment is not paying for some people's wages for one player. So, it's something to mull over anyway.
Yeah.
So we also got quite a lot of responses back from the ticket prices. Now, this was a big topic that we talked about.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on it. We've had quite a few responses back.
Lewis kicked something off there. I think,
he did.
That ticket prices
really did.
That was a big one.
That's it. So Ben Priest has said, Stafford Rangers is a tenner. I would go if it was a fiver, as petty as it sounds. And I actually responded to him on YouTube and said, it's not petty, to be honest. It's a massive factor. I mean, if you can go somewhere for a fiver and you can go somewhere for a tenner, you're going to go to somewhere that's offering a fiver.
That might be
surely
a poll to run this week and have a chat about. It's like, how many of you out there don't go to as much non-league as you would like to because you consider the cost to be prohibitive?
Yeah.
Because you can, most weeks, Drew Kendall's a really good example of it. You can probably watch 4 games of football a week if you want to go and watch non-league.
Yeah.
Because he does.
Yeah, he does.
He gets to everything.
I don't know how he does it. He's an absolute machine. I struggle doing 1 a week. If I try and push 2 in, I'm like...
But
I'm dead.
I mean, to be honest, when the season gets underway normally and everything's in full swing, you can watch your Saturday football. He'll go to a Sunday game, which you obviously don't pay for. You can normally find a Tuesday one.
Well, doesn't he do Saturday morning, then Saturday afternoon?
Yes.
And Sunday morning.
Sunday
and
does
then
2 Sundays normally as well.
Mad.
But when everything gets underway, you can normally go Tuesday, then you can watch youth football on a Thursday. On Fridays, there's games. A lot of teams choosing to play Friday nights at the minute. And you're back to your Saturdays again. So if it was just a bit cheaper, would you try and push yourself to go to an extra match? Like, we enjoy going to games that aren't our local team. We just like going to watch and take in football because it's what we love. But could more people get into football for that reason other than just supporting their local team?
Well, I mean, to be honest, there was a game that I was considering going to a couple of weeks ago on a Tuesday night, but I looked at the ticket prices. It was going to be 12 quid to gain an entry, and I thought, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It was a midweek game. I'd already done a Saturday one for the channel. I was thinking about doing a midweek one. me paying 12 quid to get to a non-league game, plus then the petrol on top of then getting to that game. If I decide I want to have anything to eat or drink as well, that's then an extra cost on top. And
it is interesting.
For a Saturday game, I don't mind that, where I can make a full day of it, and it's a proper experience where I can get there really early, etc. But for a Tuesday night game, 12 quid's a bit excessive for non-league. Do you not think?
Yeah, I do. I do feel £12 excessive for non-league, but I'm not sure where that notion comes from. So I'm not saying that it's the value of experience isn't worth £12, because it's far better than the experience I get if I go to a League One game with Ipswich.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of the surroundings, I still feel I have a better time at non-league.
Oh God, yeah.
But
100%.
I guess
maybe non-league clubs just start introducing midweek ticket prices.
That's a good thought.
You have your standard weekend games, but if you're going to have a game during the week, you offer a slightly lower discounted price.
But you know what, as well,
I don't think clubs will go for it.
No, but that could start attracting more people through the gate
during the week
to start buying into the Saturday fixtures.
Exactly. Oh, there's nothing to do on a Tuesday night. What games can I go to? Have a quick check on an app, quick check online. Oh, that team's at home on that night. I might go and do that. Oh, it's 12 quid. I sod that. I'm not going to do that. That's exactly what I did.
Oh, it's 8 quid. I'll go and do it.
Yeah.
£4 difference. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but it does make a difference. So I agree. I agree with that point. And then final one, which we're going to, wrap up on these videos. We had Lionel DeLion, which is a brilliant name. A compiled list of admission prices in different leagues/divisions would certainly be interesting. There's one team I know in Division 1 of the Anglian Com, the equivalent of the Step 8, who are charging £3 for admission this season, when others in the same division charge nothing or take a bucket round for donations. That's an interesting one at that kind of level of football, because I think that's why a lot of people still go to it, because it is free.
Yeah.
It's down to the club. If the fans are happy to pay £3 for it, then that's fair enough. I like the idea of taking a bucket round. That's quite an interesting idea for that level of football. I'd never even thought of that. I've never seen any clubs at our level of the game.
It's a bit like pass the plate though at church, isn't it? Where you feel like you have to put money in.
Do you?
Yeah, it's that feeling that if it's like, when I don't like putting it into when you're on the bus, and at the end someone comes with a hat and says tips for the driver. I don't want to be that tight twat that doesn't put in a tip for the driver, and I dig into my pocket and all I can pull out is a £2 coin, and I feel absolutely aggrieved to do so.
To be honest,
because I've already paid my bus fare.
If I had 20p, I'd just chuck in 20p. I wouldn't feel one bit guilty about it.
Well, the last time I went, I dug in my pocket.
I paid my bus ticket. I'm not. It's his job. I don't ask for donations at the end of my work day.
I know.
Does anybody want to start paying me a little bit of money? Come on, guys. Where's my tips?
Like in the bank, I think I'd get shot if I'd done that. The last time I went, I put my hand in my pocket and I pulled out 2 5p pieces, and I said to the guy with it, I said, "That's pathetic. I can't do that." So I dug my hand in my other pocket and pulled out about £4 coins. But because they're in my hand, I didn't know what to do, because I still have the 5p's in the other hand, and I just put all the pound coins in the bucket. And then thought that was
terrible.
That was a portion of chips on the way home. I'd lost my lunch, so then I had to go to a cash machine, because where I go to get my chips and kebab, they don't take cards unless you spend a tenner. And I couldn't spend a tenner on kebabs just because I'd put £4 in the bucket. So I had to get 10 quid out anyway to end up having change.
Fantastic.
Bloody British culture and being too polite.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Story of the day.
So that wraps up your comments, which that story's completely floored me. I've completely lost concentration now. We put out a God's sake. I'll be back in a minute. We asked you guys during the week to send us in some of your funny stories of playing junior football. I have one, actually, myself. I've been thinking about this a lot during my day today. Yeah. I've got 2 stories I need to tell you.
Go on.
But I'm going to let you go. I'm going to answer these guys. I'm going to read out theirs, and then I'll do mine. So if you can have a little bit of think about something that's happened in your...
I've already I've already got mine. It's going to involve me doing a bit of singing as well. So
okay.
Yeah, we're going to have another breakdown.
We'll warn you 5 seconds before if you're watching on YouTube to maybe skip to a certain part for that bit, but we'll cover that when we come to it.
Sorry, headphone users.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. So I had quite a few responses to the one that I did. Adam put the exact same question out on the non-league Nosh Twitter account, and you've got some responses. So we haven't read either one of ours. So it's going to be really interesting to hear.
Do it as a surprise for each other.
So
give you a little shout out if you send a story in each week.
Yeah.
We want to hear some football stories.
Exactly, yeah. So shall we start with yours? Because I think you have more than mine.
Yeah.
I think I've got, hang on, let me just check. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 to go through. So how many have you got?
A similar number, I think.
Okay. So do you want to start with one of yours then?
Yeah, fine. So, been speaking to one of the boys at Soccer Swap,
who we've done several videos with in the past. Good to have you on, lads.
Hiya, lads. I've got a story for you. A Sunday league game near Dublin Airport, one of our lads was busy watching a plane land when he got a shout from a teammate. Startled by the call, he raced forward and lunged at the opposition player with a pretty meaty challenge. Only problem was he'd charged onto the next pitch and wellied somebody in a completely different game.
That's hilarious.
Both games were followed got halted for 10 minutes. However, there was no injury. No one could stop laughing.
That's superb. That's brilliant.
The lack of awareness is just incredible for something like that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant.
I'd like to know how close that ground was, though, to the airport as well.
Very interesting. Yeah. Wow, what a story. Do you want to move? Do you want to carry on with your ones and then I read my ones out? Yeah.
Here we go.
We're going to carry on with Adam's one.
So,
come on, hit me with the next one.
So, Swindon Devils, which is a Championship Manager 0102 fan account.
Swindon Devils.
So, at the age of 14 to 15, he played for a really rubbish team and he was a sub, which shows how bad he was.
Right, okay.
Got a new coach and he asked every player his best position. I can remember this happening when I was playing football as a kid.
Absolute classic. Every single year you turn up for pre-season and have the exact same question asked for you.
Got 15 players and 14 of them are all strikers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Our next game was against a team near the top and we were losing 1-0, so they subbed me up front. The defender even said, "I'll mark the fat one." 3 minutes later, I scored an equaliser and sprinted back as fast as my legs would carry me, being chased by my teammates before I tired myself out, collapsed under a bundle-type celebration, then had to be subbed off.
That is genius. It's absolutely genius.
I can just imagine this poor little fat kid running as quickly as his legs would carry him and then just saying, "No."
Brilliant.
No more.
Absolutely brilliant.
No more. Right.
I don't know which one's better out of those two so far. They're both been brilliant, to be honest.
So this one is just karma personified. So this one time a kid seriously took me out and my dad insisted I stand up for myself. So I was gunning for him the next time he got the ball. He didn't for about 10 minutes and then got subbed off. I thought my chance had gone and the old man would be disappointed in his son that already a foot shorter than the rest of the lads. So when he was stood on the sideline and I was forced to clear the ball into touch, I aimed for the now sub and got him square in the face with the ball, giving him a nosebleed. It just makes you remember the standard of football that used to happen.
What happened to you lot as kids?
I know.
Jesus. Some of these stories are brutal.
That was from Football Creations, who I recommend checking out on Twitter. They make up their own football jerseys, which are really good.
Nice.
Really good. And the final one I've got, which is quite long. But
here we go. Strap yourselves in.
Yeah. So playing football this is from the Free Lions podcast, so a fellow podcaster. Playing football as a kid, when I was 9 to 10, circa late 80s, early 90s, I was playing in a match for my then local team, which were the Ware Lions in Hertfordshire. We played on a large field on a full-size pitch, as you do back then. There's room for 6 to 7 full-size pitches in the area, and on one side is a large wooded area. It's the sort of area that people walk their dogs, and it wasn't uncommon to have one off the lead invading the pitch.
Standard, yeah.
One evening, there was a remote-controlled plane flying over my head. As a junior school child, my attention span wasn't all that, and I was spending more time watching the plane than actually concentrating on playing.
Sounds very similar to the last couple of stories back.
I found myself in the centre circle. I remember receiving the ball and quickly giving it away, only to then hear an almighty crash behind me and sudden silence, drawing of many breaths. I turned around to see a crumpled remote-controlled plane lying on the floor no more than 3 feet away from me. The game came to a halt and I suddenly realised how close it had come to me. I don't remember taking any further part in the game, and the plane was dragged from the side of the pitch later by a man surreptitiously received it. I do occasionally go to the same fields, and I always cast an eye to the sky, just in case. And that's from Russell Osborne.
Jesus.
That sounds very dangerous.
That is mental. Wow.
Oh dear.
I think yours are a little bit more out there than what some of mine are. But
I love hearing
incredible.
some of this stuff, though.
They're absolutely incredible. So, some of the responses that I got, we've got a little bit shorter stories on my side of things. So, I've had Sean Button has a message saying, does getting changed in a floorless porter cabin out in Halesworth direction once. Oh, and no windows, and double that, it was raining start to finish for an added bonus. I think that's
junior
probably
changing
more
rooms
common than you
were just so grim from my recollection.
Yeah, I used to play for Battersford, and theirs was really nice.
Yeah.
But some of the teams that you went to, like proper out in the country, they were
tin cabins.
Yeah, if that. So
I never got to play anywhere that had showers.
No,
as a junior, I don't think.
I'd probably say.
Yeah.
I probably was at the same sort of level as that. So we've had Matt Nerdphonic. Matt is a massive YouTuber.
Okay.
I love this guy. He's absolutely quality. He's big in the Football Manager scene, and he's responded to some of his to some events that happened in his childhood. So as a keeper, after all the outfield players had missed throughout the season, we were awarded a penalty. I ran the length of the pitch to take it, smashed it hard, only for it to crack off the bar and watch the ball fly over my head. Nearly conceded as I raced back to get in goal.
Oh, that's the most junior football thing ever.
That is brilliant. And he's got a not so funny one, but nearly lost the sight in my right eye after I slid to collect a loose through ball. The unrunning striker mistimed their jump over me and caught my eyelid.
I don't think I can laugh at that.
Slicing it right open so that I could see through even when my eye was closed. That is
absolutely grim.
Absolutely disgusting.
Get out. That is horrible.
Oh, Matt, that is...
I can only imagine he's got this like little flap.
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. God, that's disgusting.
It's absolutely horrible for
Moving on from that one, thank you, Matt.
I don't know how you top that. That's
no,
rank.
You can't top that. Gareth Football Travels has said, played in my under-14s team and lost against the opponents 14-0.
Weekly occurrence.
The week later, we played them again and won 1-0. Great memories.
That's
very common. That is very common.
I used to play in goal, and the amount of times we got battered by about 20. I remember our defender once, when I played for Battersford. I played for Battersford as well.
Yeah, good times.
One of our defenders scored a hat-trick of own goals in one match. He was well known for scoring own goals, but this one particular game, he got a hat-trick of own goals. I never really liked to rub it in against him because he's a massive lad, and I always just felt like he was going to beat me up and bully me.
You say you play for Battersford?
Yeah.
Were you in the same team as Matt and Ash?
Yeah.
We might have played with each other. We don't even know.
Possibly. Johnny Doughty up front.
No, it was me, Kyle, and Ollie. So I might have been in a year younger than you.
Yeah. Maybe.
Interesting. So, how weird is that? I didn't even know you used to play for them. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Adam Taylor has said, my dad somehow ended up refereeing a game when I was really young. I made one bad tackle when we were a few goals ahead and he sent me off. I pointed out it was my first foul and he replied, It's your last as well. Get off.
Go on, Dad.
It was a very quiet drive home after the game.
So awkward.
That is brilliant.
I'm all behind the dad though, having the nerves to send your own kid off. Teach him a lesson.
You've got to set an example. But you hear this so much, don't you? Where if your dad's like the PE teacher or the manager, they harsher on you.
Did you ever play for one of those clubs though, where the manager's son got in the team anyway, even though he was rubbish?
Yes. Stowe Falcons youth team.
Oh, I thought that was where it happened for me as well.
My
Falcons.
Have we just been following each other through our childhood?
No, because I played years up at Falcons. Like when I was actually young when I was younger, I was actually genuinely good at football.
Right.
I played above my age group, and then this lad came in, and I just literally gave up with Falcons.
Right.
So Falcons are doing good things for kids now in the area, but at the time when I was there, it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it.
I remember a certain goalkeeper always being selected, even though he was terrible. And he used to cry every time he conceded a goal, which happened a lot. But he somehow managed to keep getting in. Well, we know how we keep getting in the team, but anyway. So, some brilliant stories there. Absolutely love those. Have you got any?
My own personally?
Yeah. Any
stories?
So
after I left Battisford, I decided to go and join an emerging team that were coming up that had just been formed.
Right.
And I thought that would be good fun. So go there as a goalkeeper. It was a bit selfish of me going there because they'd already found a goalkeeper, and I just went there and just got in the team straight away because I was a bit better than him.
Right.
So this poor lad that had just signed up for a team then got shifted out, and I don't really know. He didn't really play for the whole season because he didn't play on pitch. That was a club where the manager's son always played, but he was good, so I didn't mind it, and it was good fun. Yeah. We lost every game that season, but like the dad of this, the manager, he was really into motivational work.
Yeah.
Like we had some people that could play, it just never work, never clicked. So before every game, he used to have us running around the pitch together.
Right.
We'd all run, all at the same pace, sort of in a line as a team. And we'd have to go, we are Barcliff football team, we are big and strong and mean, Barcliff, like that, over and over again. And at the time, we just thought nothing of it. And I think back, like the opposition must have been wetting themselves.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. He had other little chants that he made us do, but none are as memorable as being big and strong and mean. Because we were anything but big and strong and mean. We were just, I think we got rolled over 24-0 one week, which was absolutely hilarious.
Brilliant. But anything to try and motivate you, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. He stuck at it as well. That team carried on going long after I gave up.
Yeah. So one of my stories is that when I was coming up through Stowe Falcons, I was a goalkeeper.
Right.
Never wanted to be a goalkeeper, but as a kid, it was me and my brother always was the one having the shots. I was always the one in goal, so I just kind of naturally went along with it. We were in the middle of a training session, so it wasn't a game. But because I like to go out on pitch, I would venture forward to like the halfway point and try and have a shot. So at one point, I had a pass back to me, and I kept walking back to try and waste a little bit of time. And I'm walking back, and I'm walking back, and I'm walking back, not realising where my goal was.
Oh,
and
James.
Everyone shouting, pick the ball up, pick the ball up. And I'm like, no, I've got loads of time. And then I just stepped beyond the line and just saw it trickle past the line. Everyone in absolute fits. That was probably the funniest moment. And I started laughing as well because I just realised how stupid it was. But I'm glad it happened in training and not during a match, because I don't think I'd ever play for another football team again.
I had a slightly similar example, but it has to be slightly not funny, but I can see the humour in it, so don't worry about laughing. But I was in a match, and I'd just come to the edge of my area. I've got epilepsy, and the ball got passed back to me from up top, because like we played on quite a small pitch at Battisford at the time. It was quite narrow.
It was
narrow, and they were passing the ball back, and it was something that we always do a lot as kids. We'd always say just pass it, and it got passed back. And I had a fit where I have an absence and don't know what's going on around me, and the ball just rolled past me and went in the net. And like when everything came back to normal, like you can laugh, it's fine, it is genuinely funny. The ball had gone in, and everyone was going, "What are you doing? Like, why didn't you get it?" And I was like, "Get what? Was there a whistle? Was there a free kick?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was in a game, but I mean, most of these games,
I shouldn't laugh.
both sides would score 10 goals, so it wouldn't matter too much. But
I think only true fans could laugh.
yeah,
Are you having an epileptic fit as a child? And I'm sat here laughing my head off. I can't stop.
I must have been about 12, and the ball just went boo, straight in the net.
Unbelievable.
Like, my dad was even standing on the sideline, and I remember, like, as I came back to, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean? What's the ball doing?" So yeah, that was interesting. I didn't get dropped for that performance.
I think it'd be very hard to drop you after an epileptic fit, but thank you for your responses to that. That was a
really fun section.
I like that. That was very good.
Something a bit different.
Yeah. Shall we look at some results?
Let's have a look at some results and see what the heck is going on.
So, if we start off, as we always do, with the Vanarama National League North, because that's how high up our teams are nowadays.
It's exciting, that, isn't it?
Kings Lynn got a draw on the weekend, 2-2 against Gloucester City. They're in 14th, Gloucester.
It's another result, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another point on the board. Yeah. As a result, though, they have dropped down a couple of positions, no longer top, but not really worried at this point.
However, the team that are top, York, are only there by a point.
Mm-hmm. And Chester above them on goal difference.
Exactly. We've already pointed out that Lynn's goal difference is a little bit on the low side for their position in the league.
Yeah.
But York have the benefit of having not lost a game all season, which after 11 games, I think is pretty decent.
Yeah, and you have to take in York and Chester are massive teams in this division, so they're always going to be right up there. So, nothing against Kings Lynn on that one. They're doing really well.
The talking point is between third and fourth, which is Kings Lynn in third and Guiseley in fourth. They've got 4 points on them.
4-point gap, and
brilliant.
they are sort of developed. They are sort of splitting already, which is great to see. Hopefully Kings Lynn can get a win.
Really impressive though to see that they've opened up a bit of a gap and they can now have a fight at the top early doors.
And 1 defeat in 11 games is absolutely fantastic. We've already talked about Leiston in the Bet Victor Southern Premier Central. We've already talked about them. We're not going to go into too much detail, but not a great result on the weekend.
This is the league that worries me the most for local
teams. Because we've then got Lowestoft just outside the relegation zone in 19th place as well.
We should be talking about Peterborough Sports as well, if I'm honest. They're local enough for East Anglia.
I suppose we should be.
They've had some good results in the FA Cup early rounds, and then nothing's really happening for them in the league, really, at the moment.
And then Needham Market lost on the weekend to Barwell, another kind of middle table team. Beat them, and Needham are in 12th. I think a lot of people were disappointed by that result. I saw a bit of reaction from social media. Couldn't believe that they.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they pick up where they are, if they pick up another couple of points, they could have been 3 positions higher in the league.
Exactly.
And it would have started to split the table a bit.
Exactly.
So I understand why people are frustrated. There's some big old teams in that league, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at some of the teams that are above them, like Tamworth were, they were national league at one point. Russian Diamonds, we all know about them, reformed.
Rushall are an incredible team.
Yeah,
and they're top in the league.
Yeah, there's some big teams in this division, and it's only 7 games in, so we can, there's still to kind of.
Avelchurch are in that league as well. Is that where all the benches go to die, according to Chris White on his video?
Yes,
I'm sure that's the one he went to recently.
Could be. We then move on to the Ishmere North Division, where we find our local teams in Bury. We've got Whittam in there. We've got Sudbury, Felixstowe, etc., etc. Let's go through some of their results. So on the weekend, Bury drew with Brentwood Town. I'm just trying to find out.
My memory serves me correctly. That's a terrible result.
Yeah, that's Brentwood's first point of the season. So that's a couple of drop points there
for Bury. That's considering where they're competing in that league in 4th place at the moment. That's not a good result at all.
No, and that season dropped down a couple of places. Coggeshall won. Dereham picked up a draw. Felixstowe, great win against Cambridge City, 3-1. They're now instantly another win. They've now jumped up to 15th in the table, and suddenly things are looking good.
Brought a couple of players in this week and pick up a win That's good for them.
Much needed win.
Yep.
Much needed win. Whittam beating Leiston 4-1. Where are Leiston?
Can we stop
16th.
and talk about Leiston for a minute? Because they are not having the greatest time of it.
Well, you say that. They're level on
yeah.
points with Felix, though, so they're not doing too badly.
They are, but I expected them to come up after seeing their brand of football last year and do very well. They played very much a long game, very direct into the boxes, and that they, attacking everything from set pieces.
Yeah.
And they didn't struggle to pick up points last season whatsoever.
No.
This season, it just isn't quite clicking yet.
But as Felixstowe found out last season, it's not always easy to go up into this level of football because it is very, I think, physical, competitive, and they might not have had that kind of challenge before. But
because of Leiston's history, though, I expect them to do.
Yeah,
like
I suppose.
Furlough non-prem is way below where they should be playing.
Yeah.
And I kind of expected to say, like, Coggeshall have done very well since they got promoted the year before last. I kind of thought Leiston would do that same sort of thing. They'd have a good bounce.
Yeah, that's it. And if Sudbury lost, they're probably the team I'm looking at the moment and thinking you need to be doing a little bit better than what you are. And it's harsh because of the squad that they've got, the youth policy that they are relying on, but I would have thought that after 5 games they would be doing a little bit better than what they are. They're level on points with Leiston and Felixstowe and currently sat in 14th place.
I think there's a lot in that league, though. Like, when I look at it, I don't feel like it looks anything like I would have expected it to pre-season.
No.
And there's a long, long way to go. They've only played 5 games, for goodness sake. But
exactly.
At the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see how it levels out given another month.
Yeah, that's it. We move on to the Furlough None Premier. There's not been a massive amount of games in the league this weekend because a lot of people were playing the FA Vars.
FA Vars first round. Well, it's not even the first round, is it? It's the qualifying round.
Yeah, exactly. So from the Premier Division, we had Swaffham beating Galston 4-2, which is a great result for them, but another poor result for Galston. We had God Manchester beating Ely 5-1, which that's a great result. Keeps them up at the top, near the top of the table.
God Manchester, it feels like they're finding some stride now.
Yep. After a couple of losses early on, we then had, that was it. Other than Stowmarket beating Woodbridge 7-0. Did not see that result coming at all. I thought Woodbridge would bounce back with a. I mean, you were in the second half. You turned up for the second half performance. Was it as the scoreline suggested, or was it competitive? What kind of?
So I saw 3 of the 7, and I was in absolute disbelief when I turned up at half time and someone said, "Oh, we're 4-0 up." I hadn't checked Twitter because I've been watching Ipswich on the iFollow service, which was absolutely dismal. I turned up to the game feeling rather depressed. So then someone said, "Oh, we're 4-0 up. It's been incredible." I was like, 4-0, are you joking? No, it's genuinely 4-0 and we could have scored many more. It could have been 7 if it weren't for their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper was absolutely class. He was brilliant. And to be honest, they Woodbridge played some football through defence into midfield. They looked good. They looked as good as anyone else have played. They just couldn't quite get into Stowe's back line.
Right.
And time again this season, I've seen Stowmarket's defence. They look unlike anything else that we're coming up against. It's I don't know, when it's that solid, you just, before I've watched teams and you just think, there could be a goal here when someone goes forward. When the opposition seem to go forward against Stowe, there seems to be this reliance on the fact the defence will sort it out.
Yeah.
If not, you've got midfielders, Jack Ainsley in particular, like a huge shout out to him. He just chased back and won everything. 7-0 I would probably say is very harsh, but Stowe really made chances and took them as well. And that was without Seb Dunbar as left back and no Christy Finch up front either because he's on holiday.
Of course, it's not league. Of course, he's on holiday.
So, absolute madness result. And if I'm going to be completely honest, going into it, I thought that's where Stowmarket's first defeat of the season would be.
So I expected Woodbridge to kind of bounce back a little bit from that.
I thought it was going to be competitive, but I thought they'd have the edge on it.
And as a result, Woodbridge's goal difference is now down to +3, which is mad. You think they're fourth, they've won 5 games and they've got a goal difference of just +3.
So I don't want to labour the point, but Stowe's goal difference is actually, in my eyes, outrageous.
+29. That is mad.
They haven't conceded a goal in the league in over a month. I think they've had about 5 league clean sheets in a row.
Crazy.
And the last goal they conceded from open play was on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, mad, isn't it? But let's move on from Stowe. Let's not make this the Stowe Market Town show.
No, not at all.
Let's move on from that, because the Premier Division is a mad league at the moment, because Stowe have played 9 games, and yet you've got some teams down the bottom. Walsh and Willows have only played 4. The fixtures are all over the place. We talked about it already. Don't agree with it. It's very, very random.
There is something to call out there, though. Something to watch.
What's that?
Thetford and Galston.
Yeah, in big trouble.
And that's something to look at. So Galston have got 4 games in hand, haven't they, over Thetford?
They have, yeah.
But Thetford have only picked up 3 points so far. Thetford have played the equal most number of games in the league and are only sitting on 3 points. I'm massively concerned for them.
Yeah, I am as well. And I saw, again, you look at their goal difference and it's -9. Then it goes back to the point we said last week, and I saw a couple of people talking about it on Twitter. I think yesterday actually, that the results are not kind of matching what's going on the pitch. It's very, very close, and it's literally just fine margins. But I really, really hope they can start turning it around and make it a bit more competitive, because 8 losses in 9 is very, very worrying. If we look at some of the Vars results, let's just go through a couple. So Witton are through to the next round after a 2-1 win. Bramford Athletic won 4-2. Thetford lost against Peterborough North and who are Peterborough North and Star?
Peterborough North and Star are, I think that's the team we discussed a moment ago. I think they're step 3.
Oh, okay, so that...
Or would they be? No, they wouldn't be. You can't compete in the Vars.
No.
Step 3.
I don't know.
We need to look at where league that's from.
We need to look at that. Stanway won 7-1. Wroxham won 3-2. Mildenhall and Newmarket drew, so they'll play a replay. Marchtown beat Walsham 4-3. Kirkley and Pakefield beat Debenham in the division below 1-0.
Kirkley are on a good run at the minute.
Hadley United won 5-2 against Haverhill Borough. Norwich United beat Great Yarmouth 3-0. Great result for those guys away from home. Clacton won 4-1. Haverhill Rovers lost to Colney Heath. And Coggeshall beat Long Melford 1-0. You've just found out what league they're in. Peterborough step 5.
Step 5, equal league.
But still 5-0.
We've lost. Yeah, that's not good.
No, not good.
We've lost a chunk of teams from the division there, haven't we? There's a few gone.
Yeah, really has. Moving down to the Furlough Nunn First Division North, let's have a look at some of the recent results in there. So we have got...
There's going to be a lot of Vars in there, isn't there?
Well, there's a few, but Norwich CBS beat Framlingham. Again, another defeat for Framlingham.
But we're talking about them every week at the moment. Maybe we need to have a little feature on them and see what's going on, have a little bit of a deep dive.
But for Norwich CBS, it's a great win. They've needed that. Hopefully that can kickstart their campaign. Agree. We've got a Vars result. Then we have Leiston Reserves lost 5-0 to Sheringham. Sheringham, a great win for them, keeps them up right near the top of the table. We've then got a Vars result. Kings Lynn Reserves lost 2-1 against Felixstowe Reserves. Felixstowe, that's a great win for them.
That is really good.
That is a great win for them. Then we have Vars. Downham beat Needham Market 7-1. That's a great result, considering how well Needham Reserves have been starting off the season.
That's a bit of a shock, that one, isn't it?
If you'd have said that result before the beginning of the season, I'd have said no, but given the form, that is a massive result. Dis beat Fakenham 3-2, which is a great result. Cornard beat Wisbech, another defeat for Wisbech. St Mary, worry for them, they won 2-0. Cornard, that was their first win of the season, massive result. And then Ipswich Wanderers beat Sudbury Reserves 4-0. So both
Wanderers.
Both Ipswich and Dis won. So Dis, your team, because the games are now level, Dis, your team are ahead by 3 points. Thoughts quickly?
Pleased. I like the way that table's looking at the minute.
There are some very, very competitive teams. I think if you go from first down to fifth in there, because Mulbarton have played 3 games less than everybody else, once those games kind of even out, that league is going to be very, very competitive at the top. And it's great to see that we've got at least 5 teams competing up near the top. Absolutely fantastic to see.
And they are not the teams that dropped
down.
No. It is a bit of a surprise.
It's a bit of a surprise. But, Yarmouth and Framlingham are in 16th and 18th respectively. So it just shows when you come down, it's not an easy division to get back out of. It's
the
really,
relegated
really
teams
tough.
are on a big struggle. Why do relegated teams struggle is something to think about. Like, it's a topic for another day because I want to see how the leagues go a bit more. But we can maybe highlight the teams that have gone down and just see what their performance is like. If you'd like to see that, let us know, because that would actually be something really cool to do.
Definitely. And this is where some of these results are freaking mental. The SIL Senior Division. Let me read you through some of these results.
I've just seen what happened.
Yes, we've got Bilderston drawing with Bennell 2-2. That's a good point for Bilderston. Bourne Vale beating Capel Plough 3-2. Then Crane Sports 7, Bramford 0. Another win for Crane, who are just...
They're flying.
5 out of 5, superb. My game, Claydon 1, Henley 3, which when you look at some of the other results, only 4 goals in this game. 4 goals, guys. Come on, pull your finger out. Copplestonians lost to Achilles 1-0, so Achilles get back into winning ways. East Burgoll 7-2 against Trimley Red Devils. That's a major shock.
Yeah, I was going to say
Major shock. And not just a win, an emphatic win.
Yeah, that's massive.
Hawley winning against Leiston St Margaret's 4-0. And then the big result, Old Newton 10, Westerfield 2.
You went to the wrong game, mate.
I did. Westerfield, due to certain players no longer wanting to play, they had the manager and the assistant manager who were in their mid-40s playing for them.
I saw this on Twitter.
Not happy. They are not happy at all. Certain players, and I don't know who they are, I haven't done any research about it, but certain players apparently don't want to play for a losing team. 4 out of 4.
So my opinion on that is, you're in the team that was losing. You're not bigger than the team. No individual's bigger than the team. They may have taken a loss, but at the end of the day, they pulled together as a team to put 11 people on the field.
Exactly.
Just keep going.
Exactly. I hope, for Stuart's sake over there, that they can find some players, bring them in, and start turning that around, because 4 defeats out of 4, minus 14 goal difference, that is worrying already, to say the least. And then some of the other results were from the Bob Coleman Cup. So I'm not going to go through some of those results because there's far too many results.
We've got a topic about the Bob Coleman Cup to actually go through. That'll be on the next podcast. That came in as a question.
Yes, we haven't even covered the questions. It's just been this episode's been mental.
Yeah, I think we'll cover the questions on the next one.
Yeah,
that we'll try and do.
Yeah.
So keep this one as very reactionary to your feedback.
Yeah.
The Leiston news is the big headline of all of it.
Yeah.
To be honest, we've absolutely loved doing your football stories.
They have been fun.
That was great. Epilepsy banter aside, and a good review and roundup in this edition of last week's results.
Yeah.
We'll go on and record another edition to put out later in the week.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is that we will have this one as the main podcast. And I'm not even going to discuss it with him. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have this as the main podcast. Right. We will have the Leiston topic as a separate mini bite size, and then we'll have your 2 questions that your questions that you put in as bite size ones as well.
Good idea.
How do you think about that?
Yeah, that's you work out how it goes on YouTube, and I'll go along with it.
There you go. So thank you very much, guys. Honestly, we really, really do appreciate the comments, the interaction, the votes, everything that you've been doing recently for the podcast. I said this is what it's all about. We want you guys to get involved as much as possible. So thank you, honestly, so much, because
much work has gone into this week's, not from us, but from you.
from you, to be honest.
And it just proves to us that what we're doing is worthwhile, and we're not just sitting here for 20 views a week, because we put snippets out, or James did, because he's the hard work on the editor, put snippets of the previous, like the main podcast that we put out. We put those out, and they even attracted significantly more views than we thought they would.
Yeah, we're still trialling.
Yeah, we're trialling. We're not expecting massive numbers, but if people are interested in snippets as well as the main thing, which seems to be the case,
very much so,
we can do it.
Exactly. So thank you again, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for what you guys have been doing recently. You've been absolutely smashing it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell as well, because there are so many videos going up at the moment. Even if there's not match day stuff going up, there is so much happening with the channel right now. If you don't want to miss out on a single thing, subscribe, notification bell. Follow us on Podbean as well, so that you can download the podcast and listen to that on the go, wherever you may be. And we will let you know on all of our social medias when other podcast services will be available.
We'll try and get that on later. I think we'll be all right.
We will try our darnest. Thank you very much, Adam. Appreciate your time, as always.
You got a final thought for today?
Final thought for today. Old Newton are here. Old Newton are here.
They're fully landed.
That's all I'm going to say. They know what I'm talking about.
For me, final thought for this episode, looking at the fixtures, watch out for God Manchester and that furlough non-prem.
Good shout.
That 5-1 victory, don't miss that out. That was huge.
Yeah. Adios.